You're listening to the Pace Radio Network, here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Haha, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It is January 31st, the last day of the month. And you are here with us, my co-host over here, Steve Mather. The fungalicious Steve is with myself, Reverend Cindy here, and you are watching the Mushie Moment here on paceradio.net and cbgtv.com. We were supposed to have Mark Howell on the show today. There have been some technical difficulties, so Mark has been delayed a little bit. Uh-oh, Steve, don't do that to me. And Steve over here, I'm not sure what buttons he's pressing, but hopefully he comes back soon. Steve, are you there? Oh, goody. So I'm not sure what's going on with my co-host. He should be back any second. And we are hoping to have Mark join us once the technical difficulties are looked after. There you are. You're back. Yay.
Yes, and Mark is, Mark just called me. He said he's logging in. He just had to find how to get on there.
Oh, okay. Well, that works. Technical difficulties have been averted, and we're just going to be an extra couple of minutes before our guest joins us, and that is okay. So we will chat about the fact that Steve is in Vancouver, sitting in his car,
and it snowed.
And
I got into snow removal, so I'm supposed to be working, but I'm taking the break here to do this podcast and watch all my buddies work. But
yes,
hopefully this will be the last snowfall for the year.
Well, it's really weird for Vancouver. Somebody else just posted a picture of their snowdrop flowers starting to come up and whatnot, and then it snowed. I just swear, I think I saw that yesterday. So yeah, and here it is, snowed today. So I spoke of technical difficulties a minute ago, but our guest has arrived in the back room, which is really good. So the show will go on. Are you laughing at somebody out there working?
Oh, my buddy Ricky's here. He's just filling in. And are we off to the next gig soon? No. Oh, no, we got lots of work. Hey, he's got lots of work to do.
That's always awesome. Okay, so I think our guest is ready. So, oh, what are we doing over there? We're good?
Just moving my thing around.
Okay. Don't hit the wrong button.
I'll try not to.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're really excited about this guest. Matter of fact, we've been talking about him for the last week and a half, preparing to have him on today. We had a lot of excitement here over the last week. Hey?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I'm really excited.
Yes, I know that. So without any further ado, let's bring the guest on. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
How are you doing, big fella?
Oh, I'm doing good. It's I'm back in Canada. Are we on screen right now, like TV with people?
We are.
Yeah.
Oh. And so I had the time change. So I just walked in right now. I was doing a bunch of stuff and I just walked in and I looked at my message and Steve's like, "Oh, the link's on." I'm like, "Oh my God, that's right now." So
that's okay. I was having tons of technical difficulty anyway.
No, it's good. And you know what? Like for me, there's no script in preparing these, right?
Oh yeah, that's what we.
Yeah, it's kind of basically how this whole thing with the medicines is working, right? It's like being able to connect with your intuition and be able to be guided by that inner voice that seems to have but there is a I call it a spiritual instead of a manual. And you can So boom, we're tapping in right here. This is how I'm dressed. This is where I'm at. You know what's actually funny, because the kids aren't here, and we're ready to rock. I'm glad, Steve, you got this going with Cindy. Cindy, we've been following for years now. She hasn't done Iboga with me yet. She's been bobbing the Ibogaine. I've been refraining from commenting a lot, because I think you're doing amazing, and everyone's journey and path is like, it's guided by whatever happens, I guess.
That's true.
And Steve,
well, I know you and I have some dealings in the future here. I've just been avoiding because the first time we spoke, when I before we'd actually met, I was in a trauma moment, and I've recorded some of that trauma. And that last meeting we had at the Spirit Plant Medicine Conference there, I realized, ooh, wow, you have a powerful psyche, my friend. And there's something in me that wants to avoid you. And it's like, no, it can't happen. This needs to happen.
It's inevitable. Like my wife, she tried to avoid me for a bit there in the beginning, but I trapped her in an Iboga ceremony. Iboga is the glue, right? I mean, the thing you're recognizing in me, it's just like, I mean, it's the medicine Iboga has really helped me push past the limitations that I had in my belief systems of myself. And so I always, it's like looking up to the sky and seeing the stars. There's these little dots of bright lights. Like when you're trapped in darkness like that and you look up and you can see those little dots of light, it gives you great, like those are really big things out there in space, and there's some of the most powerful things that generate almost everything that we have and live in the material world. So I think, trapped in depression and anxiety and all these different types of things, it's nice to have, it's like Iboga was my spaceship and it allowed me to travel to the stars, and then, once you get to see that amount of light and things like that, then when you're back on Earth and you look up at the stars, those dots of light can remind you of a much bigger light, and then when you even go past that, if you become the star or you become the light, then those points of light can remind you of yourself. And so I think, maybe it's just approaching me is I think the closer you get to me, the closer you get to you. That's the situation going on there.
That's kind of what I when Steve and I were chatting, I said that's there's part of you that is scared of the light that is about to be shined on it when you go sit with Mark and sit with Iboga, and it's going to be a beautiful light, and that part of you will learn to love and appreciate it, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's funny because the PTSD, like I say to Cindy, the PTSD makes you confuse anxiety with anticipation. They kind of are harmony frequencies, but if your brain's
hold on
in
a
the wrong
second, wait a minute, I gotta go in here because I need to know more. You blitzed by something there. So okay, two words you brought up. What was it? Anxiety and anticipation. Can you define more what you're talking about there?
Well, for me, with my PTSD, I would find that there would be moments that I should have had anticipation going into, and I would mistake it. My brain would mistake that vibration for anxiety, and I'd go into fear, and I'd work myself into, we call them panic attacks, but there's no attack. It's me working myself up so anxious that I panic. But there's no reason for it. The reason I'm working myself up is because I've mistaken anticipation for anxiety, and I'm trying to fix the anxiety, but there is none. It's actually anticipation. And
but listen, anticipation is leading towards something, right? And anticipation is like, it's an action word. And so the anticipation of leading towards meeting yourself again, you're getting the anxiety, not mixing it up with anticipation. The anticipation's there. So don't get mixed up with mixing up the anticipation and the anxiety. What you're really getting anxiety over, like anxiety is like, so if you have a thought goes in and it's going to react with your past experiences or what you call your trauma. Sorry, phone was ringing there. The anxiety comes like your system. Where's the anxiety coming from? It comes as a feeling and your emotions getting stirred up and everything's going kind of crazy. And then it works with your thoughts and your thoughts are building up. And so I don't think that you're getting mixed up with anticipation and anxiety. I think the anticipation is a good thing because you're excited about, whatever it is. But
No,
what's
I'm
happening?
just mistaking that feeling of anticipation. My brain is mistaking it as anxiety, but it should be cataloging it differently. It should be going, this is anticipation, not anxiety.
Well, but I know, but like anticipation is probably it runs in a similar system as your anxiety.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to, I don't know if you're like mixing it up. I just think I know what you mean.
Well, I feel it doesn't matter which one I feel. It's changing now, but for a long time, it didn't matter which one I felt. I thought it was anxiety. So in one point, I went to go, I went to a bash that my buddies that I'd grown up with and toured with in rock bands, and I'd known them my whole life. And I went to this event, and it was, I know now it was anticipation. But at the time, I went, oh, why am I getting anxiety? Oh, and then I had, everybody went down to jam, and I went into a side room and crawled into fetal position going, what the fuck is going on?
Well, see, but what was the anticipation like?
Oh, I hadn't seen my buddies in ages. We were going to actually jam. We hadn't got together and had a jam in ages. Like, it was all good stuff. These were childhood buddies.
Yeah, but what was like, so were you afraid they were going to judge you at where you were at that point in life?
No. All I think was, while I was actually having that vibration of anticipation going through me, I went, why am I having anxiety? I didn't recognize it as anticipation. I recognized it as anxiety, and then worked myself right up. So I had a panic attack and curled up in a room.
I know, but what I'm saying is, like, okay, anticipation was there, but do you think that if you actually look at it, was there things that you were getting anxiety around being there, like playing with the band, being around social anxiety? Was it being around your friends who haven't seen you in a long time?
Oh, look at you. You're good. No, I'd lived in the house at a point in time. They had let me take over their house while they were up north for a few months. And it was a period where I took my daughters there in a period of trauma addiction after their dog attack. And
okay, now right there, like, like mixed up, and again, I'm just freestyling here. Like, mixed up is a tough one because you might throw away the baby with the bathwater, as Adriana said. You know what I mean? Like, there might be real things there telling you things, but you're not. Again, let's not do mix up. But you're not assigning the correct things. Like, some of the trauma fries the circuit board. Like, I know what you're saying, but I think you need to you generalize it too much, and all of a sudden, then you're blaming the anxiety on the anticipation and mixing those feelings up. But when I'm speaking right now, my intuition is telling me that's a much more exploded system of many more things that are going on there that need to be looked at and articulated in a little bit more honest way for it to be more productive for you to understand it. Because understanding for you is the key to unlock that anxiety.
Yes.
So, so then anyways, that's a traumatic event going there for having the resonance of that house bring up these memories, subconscious, whatever. We wouldn't even go there.
Yeah.
What you see and don't see. And then, so look at that. And then now take that, like you have 2 daughters, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, there's nothing more you love in the world than your daughters.
Well, my son, they're all even.
Perfect. Yeah,
I've got
exactly.
3 kids, so I just love them all. But
your children and grandchildren. Yeah.
So if you had a scale here, like, who do you love more, your children or you?
Ooh, my children. Oh, and I could answer that quick. Wow.
No, but that's the truth. That's what you got. We're not going to get anywhere if you don't be honest. We're just going to fucking keep fishing in an empty hole. So the thing right now is, like, check out this kicker. You can only love your kids to the limit that you love yourself.
Oh, interesting.
You want to love your kids more, you need to love yourself more. How can you give somebody $40 if you only have $20?
Right.
If we were looking at love like money or whatever, just for fun.
Right.
You see what I mean? So like in an airplane, why do you give the kids the drop down mask? Why do you put it on first?
Right. You can't help anybody else if you're not helping yourself.
So just to break it down real easy here, yeah. And the more love you have for yourself, the more love you're going to have to give for them. And that's a tough one. Is that true? I don't know. Bring it to the medicine. I bet you it is.
Yeah. And that's, and that's where, I mean, I know from talking with Steve, pardon me, that's where he wants to head. And he's got this part of him that is bringing on some anticipation, and I would also say anxiety, in reaching out to you to start that. So I think that the conversation you guys just had, and the fact that Mark is here, and that's kind of out in the open, kind of negates a lot of what you now have to do, Steve. The call has now kind of been made.
Yeah, there's no avoiding this one, huh?
No avoiding this one. We're here.
Yeah, it's funny. Like anxiety is almost the feeling of not being comfortable in your own seat.
It is the feeling of not being comfortable in your own seat.
So, but you become comfortable in your own seat because it works. To a certain point.
I'm finding comfort. Like I am finding comfort. From where I was a couple of years ago to now, miles ahead. I've put a lot of the trauma behind me. I've addressed a lot of the stuff. I know there's a lot more to go because, there's a lot in there and still stuff happening. So, one of my daughters just got into a recovery house yesterday, and the other one is still out in addiction. So, there's always that as well, just riding in the background. But I'm learning to have faith. And
yeah, I think what's important for you is like a couple different factors that are going on here. One is the physical body, and then one is the spiritual body. And so they work in unison. And when you're finding comfort in your own seat, they're still implying that you're searching, looking, not there. Or every once in a while you rock into the niche, you know what I mean? You got to become the chair. So you got to think about what's creating fears, all these thoughts and about like what could happen, assumptions or attachments or belief systems. So those are all dangerous constructs of the mind. And so you need to identify what is your mind and what is your soul. And so, you can accomplish through the whole system once you get, your mind more organized. Iboga is a medicine for the mind. So, how do you heal the mind? You bring the truth to it. So you face the truth, and then that's where this mind, it's like almost like a drug addiction. Drug addictions, if you look at the core of it, are bad choices and decisions, or it's a lot more to it. But also, like you can have a bad choice of thinking negatively all the time as well, and the results of those bad choices and negative thinking could be almost as detrimental, if not equally or more destructive, as a drug addiction. So, a lot of times,
that's what mine was. Mine was. I went to the negative patterns. Mine and Cindy's is similar. It's complex PTSD from early age and building on and compounding. And the pattern of looking for the darkness kind of happens at very first traumatic event, because now you're never walking into a room looking for love and opportunity. You're walking in looking for safety and where the darkness is. You're looking to keep yourself safe. Okay, how do I? So you're automatically not walking into every space open. You're closed off and looking right away. And that pattern over the years, it teaches you to be looking for darkness all the time.
Yeah, I remember what I said
at the beginning. For it, you'll find it
easily.
Yeah, and you remember what I said at the beginning of the conversation is like Iboga helped me see the stars in the darkness. And then transcend my limits.
I know this. I know it's my journey. The mushrooms and the mushrooms did a lot of repairing. The microdosing and that did a lot of repairing of the blown out pathways and whatnot, and got a lot of that back together. My ability to process data and that is getting quite well again. But the patterns that come along with the negative thinking that's the residual that I'm.
So that's the physical, and that's another thing Iboga is amazing. So you basically, you need to. So if you have this life that's coming through you, through your senses, and into you, you have from an invisible, abstract, spiritual into a physical. There's a system, and you are the system. So, once you get the understanding and behind the spiritual awareness, to be able to stay focused in the perspective that is most conducive towards your health and well-being. And Iboga can go in there and also help with, almost like a brush that can brush out the knots in someone's hair, one of your little girl's hair, get those knots out. It's like your system. So CPTSD, like complex post-traumatic stress disorder, like they say is when trauma happens at a young age, developmental age. So you actually have what I kind of roughly going off of is that trauma is fabricated and intertwined into the system. Well, Iboga can also do that on a physical level, a great deal of physical healing, and comb out the threads and rewire the, they have all these neuroplasticity and whatever, all these crazy words. It's man's best attempts to define reality using speech. How do we get
our limited word system?
They're pretty good though. English, man, we come up with new words every time with Iboga. Resosense was one we had the last time, and there's always really good words. I get the English language is quite remarkable, actually, how it's constructed. Again, Iboga blows past all of that, and you got to learn to speak the language of your soul and you. And if you learn the language of you and your soul, I think you'll find that it's fluent in the language of the universe.
Well, that's kind of been the path I'm walking, but I've realized that the other medicines have said I require more. The trauma I've gone through and am going through requires more for me to find that place of healing.
So is it anticipation or anxiety you have when you want to come and do Iboga?
It's that
Cindy, you like that one?
Now.
What?
Oh, it's full on anticipation now.
But what would you have? Like maybe we'll switch to Cindy for a sec here. You guys are doing the interview. I'm just sitting here like it's almost like we're in a session or something.
Yeah.
But I know like Cindy suffered from a lot of you have your up and down days, Cindy.
Yeah. Still do.
I don't know if you're like, is it mostly just the cannabis that you do?
No, I still microdose with psilocybin in between going. I have worked with DMT, and I am planning a Cambo retreat coming up in March. Actually, okay. Steve and I are going together for Cambo in March.
Have you guys done that yet?
No, this will be a first time for both of us.
So I find it to be very profound, and it's extremely useful on the physical level.
Yeah.
Which clears up a lot for like the whole system.
Yeah.
So
I think if for me anyway, if I can get some of that physical stuff cleared up, like when I went and did Iboga with Gareth and Blair, they were the ones that informed me that for because I've got a lot of severe allergies, which Iboga like cleaned up a lot of it, but they informed me that Cambo might be able to help with a lot of that stuff and with the fibromyalgia and and other physical ailments. So that's what turned my sights onto Cambo, and I've been trying to get a ceremony since, and it'll finally happen in March.
So when have you felt past the best in the past like couple of years?
Oh, the first 6 months after coming back from my first Iboga retreat.
Okay, so and then how fast after that was it Iboga or Ibogaine that you did?
Both.
Where was that?
That was with Gareth.
Oh, and so he used some TA as well, you mean?
Yeah.
And then did you do the 5-MeO after?
I did.
And then smoked weed, right? I remember you were smoking weed like basically right away.
Yeah, no, I did. I'm not very much because of course it took my tolerance. My tolerance was gone, so I hardly used any of it afterwards. But yes, I did use it. My choice for the physical pain that I was feeling was cannabis or chemicals, so I chose cannabis.
So when you reused the cannabis after the iboga, was it because you were in pain?
Yes, yeah, it's for pain reasons that I use it.
But you smoke it
Pain,
or eat it?
both pain, anxiety, and depression and all that jazz coming right out of iboga. I was really only left with the pain because it wasn't able to cure all of my physical issues.
So do you find you get more benefit of the pain from eating the edibles or smoking it?
For me, it's a combined effect. I find that when I eat the edibles, sometimes they take a little longer to kick in. Smoking it or dabbing it gives me immediate effects.
Did you find that the smoking the weed affected the way you were thinking a bit in conjunction with the way iboga cleared your space of your head?
No, no,
So
I don't find a negative effect like that from using cannabis at all. When I was using it in conjunction with iboga, I was using it for nausea reasons because I like the TA especially really, whoo man, it knocked me for a loop for that whole ill feeling, made me very sick feeling, and the cannabis helped control that a little bit. Now the second time, funny enough, the second retreat that I went and did with iboga, I refused it the entire time. I mean, I wanted nothing to do with cannabis especially when I was in medicine.
yeah, like so because I mean how they explain it in a couple times I've heard is like iboga is like a doctor and he likes to be in the room and sometimes if there's other doctors because they're both powerful spirits, right?
Yep.
And you want to listen, opening up a whole thing here where lots of people would have different opinions and at this
Oh
point right
yes,
now
like you mean like because my first retreat, I worked with two people. There was Patrick there as well, and Patrick is of the belief that you don't mix them, whereas
yeah
Gareth is of the belief and of the training that you can. So
yeah
there were two different beliefs there, but we ended up coming together and finding a way that worked for me the best, right? So, and I was grateful for
which
that.
was what
Well, when I was feeling ill, I used the cannabis, and it helped.
okay well if we do iboga I'm going to make you feel ill and there'll be no cannabis.
I know. I actually know that. And I've been invited to go down and do retreat with Patrick as well. And I do know
Yeah.
that the requirement of going, and I do want to go to both spaces, and the
Oh
requirement
yeah,
of going to those spaces is no cannabis. And
but they're
I
amazing. I
get
know
that.
I know them over there at Soul Central too. They um yeah, especially like the shaman in Africa. He doesn't. It's just it's not about anything. It's fine. Just about giving it its space. While you want to, I'm pro
Yep.
boga. You want to let iboga really, and I think for you to really get that reset, that that big reset is that you should take a break, maybe for. I know it's hard, but even 1 or 2 or 3 months after, let that medicine do its work. Let it reset. The nausea and the sickness has a particular role. Like usually if you get really like when you're dosed right, it'll work in a way where it'll go in and be removing things. So you kind of get rid of things, not to the point where you're like, say you took too much medicine or something, you might throw up a bit too much, but don't get mixed up thinking you're throwing up now because you took too much. It's not like because of that. I'm just saying it has an effect. Like it's getting rid of things. Like, how do you, when you get rid of the knots, you got those big dreads stuck in the thing, as like hairballs, you got to get rid of it. So
I purged. Don't worry. I purged. I just didn't throw up. But I purged. Oh yeah.
okay.
I just purged at the other end. Yeah,
Oh,
iboga cleaned me out and
yeah.
detoxed me hard. But I hadn't I don't know why it did that to me. And same with the DMT. It didn't make me purge via throwing up. So I'm going to be I'm kind of curious to see how the Cambo is going to affect me when it comes time.
I think it's going to really, and then that's going to like lower your tolerance as well. The whole thing with that is to give you a lot of water, and then it gets into those organs pumping.
Yep.
And they, they go by the colors of stuff that it's going to purge out.
Yep.
The deep stuff, not just the stuff. But I find I just had a girl particularly that just was with me, and she's been with me before, and she's always had a really high tolerance. And she did a big cambo, and it re-brought up all the abuse and trauma from young again. And then but she was a lower tolerance this time with the medicine, and it was more soft to her. And I think she really got through all of it now. So I think it's a really good step for you. This is a process.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward. I'm doing Cambo, and then I'm coming back out in April to Vancouver, and I'm setting up for a guided mushroom ceremony and more DMT while I'm there.
Right.
So I'm excited. But that brings us to break. So we are going to take a little bit of a medication session here, paceradio.net, here in the Mushie Moment. So just hang out for a couple of minutes, and we'll be right back with our amazing guest, Mr. Mark Howard. Back in a moment.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
When you think of the number of unique products developed in the fields, kitchens, and labs at Legacy 420, it's hard to think that one stands out above the rest. But tell that to the thousands of people who have tried this amazing breakthrough product.
This is our Sacred Salve. This is actually our extra strength. It comes in 5 different strengths. It's all natural, all organic. It typically works within 10 to 15 minutes of putting it on. It's good for arthritis, it's good for inflammation, any kind of pain. We're very proud of it.
Sacred Salve, so easy to apply, along with soothing relief. To select a strength that's right for you, come in and talk to your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
Pace Radio Network, by patients, for patients, and for those who want to know.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Let's share PACE everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And we are back from our medication session, and we are live here at the Mushie Moment on paceradio.net, cbgtv.com, streaming to Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Oh my goodness, Boxcast is the name of the app. Oh, it took me a minute. And that app is available on most of your TV streaming features, such as Roku or Fire Stick, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, you can catch us pretty much everywhere. So welcome back, and welcome back, Mark. I'm going to lead in with a couple of questions. I know that you do a lot of work with Iboga at Iboga Soul, both with the psycho-spiritual and helping people relieve themselves from the holds of addiction. And that's kind of my questions is if when it comes to working with somebody with addictions, Steve brought up his daughters earlier. One is still in active addiction, and one is and I just smiled when he said it, and I'm just so excited. One went into recovery yesterday. If you were to help these girls, like, I mean, the one that is into recovery, she is into detox. How long does she have to detox before she would qualify for iboga, with you?
So what was she on using?
Fentanyl.
Oh, good.
No benzos. She was tested and there was no benzos found in her system. So that's, it's an upside.
How long was she doing it for?
This round, I think it was probably about 5 or 6 months. I think this round she was in recovery for about 3 months and then relapsed again. But it's been off and on. It's been about 9 or 10 years now.
Is she was she smoking it?
Yeah.
And so now how long has she been clean?
Well, she was on Suboxone, low dose Suboxone for the last month, and then that got her into a recovery house. So, but she's been using on the low dose Suboxone as well.
Yeah. So what I've been doing now is like I don't do any of the active. So kind of like put it into two rivers, like active substance abuse and non-active. With my years in history of addictions, I have no like shortage of stories of stuff. Like, and now they're so good at it. These centers with with ibogaine, where you got like Gareth say, right? His specialty is like, like if you watch back at Dosed, I'm getting Adrienne off of something. I can't put her back on pharmaceuticals. So the way I was trained sort of from Africa, like back then, is just using the medicine. I'd have to get her off almost all in one night. And that's what created so much difficulties later. So, what they do now is there's different centers, they have different protocols for different things. So Suboxone, like I would never treat someone on Suboxone with iboga and TA. So she would need to go to, and this is why it's so difficult because, we're working to get ibogaine legalized in Canada and have these centers available to people who need it and can make it more cost affordable for them, because these treatments cost anywhere from $7,000 to $10,000, usually US, and they have to travel. So what they would do with Suboxone is they'd have a certain protocol. Like I talked to a center yesterday that uses pure ibogaine, and they've got a protocol. They can take people right off of methadone, which most people don't do. Like what they usually do is switch them to a shorter long-acting opiate, morphine or something, like a stable pharmaceutical that's of the opiate derivative, and then stabilize them so they match whatever it is they're on, whether it's street drugs or say Suboxone. And then like, so say you got them on 400 of, let's just use Cadian because that Adrienne was on that. You give them a little bit of ibogaine when they're going into withdrawals, let that settle down, and then when they come back the next day, put them back on 300. Give it a day, then you go back, like, give them another, like a little bit of ibogaine when they're just about to go into withdrawals, let that settle down, the next day put them on 200, so you step them down, but you don't strip them clean and then not give them anything. You strip them, lower it, give them some, strip it, lower it, give them some. So once they jump off that last little 100, they usually give them a little bit more of a boost. And then, that'll clear them. And then they have to, like, I'd say about after they got completely clean, it'd probably be better for me, like, if they could go a month, but sometimes, but it always, again, by personal cases. And then it would come down to how I am dosed. See, the other thing is you get defined into your treatments by the situation. So right now, because I'm just have a retreat house and I don't, have a full running center 24/7. If you had something ongoing, then you could have someone come in and I could just low dose them for 10 days. It's all about affordability and everything. It takes a lot to keep these places going. If you're housing somebody, the whole thing is so we're redefining this entire structure. And because there's so much awareness coming up about the plant medicines now and business opportunities, like one day we'll have it. So I guess to wrap the answer into one, it would be best if she was a month clean off everything before she came to really partake in the psychospiritual and the detox part that we do. You know, just to give her that clarity, we're dealing with less interactions, less contraindications. You know, the body's had a chance to stabilize coming off the opiates to begin with. But that's difficult because some people, that's a difficult month for them and they want to use it. But, you know.
Well, I know her goal is to detox off of the Suboxone as well. She's in the recovery place. She wants to, you know, get going, get off the Suboxone and get clean. So, and I know that they've been watching me on my healing path, and you know, they ask a lot of questions. So I've told them they got to walk their own path. I'll lead my way, showing how to heal by doing my own healing process, and they'll have to do their own. So, but,
I used to have fentanyls like come in, and I would give them medicine that night, high doses of it, you know, many at a time. And then, you know, I started doing a whole bunch of different things, you know, about, you know, how to manage it after. Kratom came in handy after, but, you know, it's got its problems too. But like, so, I mean, the reality is like she could get off. Suboxone was a little tricky. I'd like that to kind of get out of the system, even if she did it by herself, but she needs help. You know, Campbell might be a really good thing on there, I bet, to be honest. Like if she detoxed herself when she got off that debate, talked to a really good practitioner who knows the protocols around it. Maybe they say, oh yeah, you can do it a week after and then clean that out. Like she'll need some tools, but if she can manage, the other thing is too, is like if a monkey is on a vine in a jungle and it's not going anywhere and they lost their swing, you know, it's hard. So, but if you give a little bit of a push and they get that swing going, and then if they have another vine to grab, which is iboga at the end of the month, then a lot of times it gives them a little bit of a goal to head towards the finish line. So if you can, you know, the process of getting her clean and then transitioning to her, I would say a good 3 weeks, a month would be a really good period of preparing, you know, just to have the system working better, lower the force field that's going to, you know, interrupt a lot of things. And then we can get right in there and have her like sink into the truth. You know, I made this up yesterday. It's like people say, are you going to trip? Am I going to trip out? I don't want to trip out. Am I going to trip out? I'm like, no, you're going to trip in. And so,
oh, I love that.
Coined it. No,
yeah. We just had somebody else here ask, you know, their daughter and son-in-law have been on Suboxone for a few years, and how do you wean off of Suboxone to take, you know, he says iboga, but other spiritual medicines. And now you mentioned Cambo could be helpful for detoxing.
So I think what we should do here is, because like I'm working with a lot of different, you know, ibogaine clinics like that I speak with, and it's not like there's it's not like this across the board. It's like the world religions almost, like everybody's got, you know, so, and then there's also my experience that comes in, and, you know, and then the dangers you put somebody in of like, you know, withdrawing too fast, or, you know, not having them in the same environment. And, you know, you got to consider all these factors. So I think you know, there's nutritional supplementation and sleep, you know, they're going to be deregulated. Is mushrooms a good thing that could get them too out there like that? Ayahuasca might get them too out there. Like, you got to watch, you can trigger things where things you're using to help. So I think, we should look into this right now. Actually, I should research to get a really proper answer about that. Maybe somehow we can answer back to that person.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Just to not give a wrong answer, because if it's like benzos, there's the Ashton model. There's a model for proper tapering down off that. You know, the question she's asking right now, I guess basically what really comes down to is like, I'm an addiction. I guess you might not special. I'm a different specialist in a different way. Like, I talked to a guy yesterday that was mind-blowingly educated. It was such a wonderful guy to talk to on the phone, and he works at an ibogaine clinic. And so, like I said, there's got to be she wants to wean off. So that's the two-part thing. Some people can't afford to go do an $8,000 to $10,000 like detox and then afford to go to do an iboga ceremony right after it.
Mm.
You know, and that's the world we live in. So some people might want to say, hey, let's I can do this on my own. And then,
you know, they can talk to the doc and get the doc to drop their dose down. The problem is right now that's not really the agenda the government is having on. and they prefer to keep, here in BC, they said if you're a fentanyl addict, they say you can't actually recover and you need to stay on the maintenance drug program. So it's tough to get them to detox you off of the Suboxone, but if you talk to your doctor that's giving you the Suboxone, he has the ability to drop the doses down and detox you off it as well.
Yeah, but he might also say it's not working and double it, and then he might say we need to put you on something else. So here's the question, because I had a big conversation yesterday, and this is another new term I'm going to coin right here, fresh on the show. Okay, when does harm reduction become harm production?
Yeah.
I would, I'm an advocate for harm reduction, but there has to be the same amount of money going into recovery funding as there is into harm reduction. And right now they're taking the money from the recovery funding to put into harm reduction.
Okay, so hold on. So just so listen to what I'm saying though. When does harm reduction, right, become harm production?
Oh, harm production.
Think about it on the person. Okay, so back to this person who I'm talking with right here. I need to know about the daughter or son that they're talking about. Okay, is that person really ready to wean off? Like, have they been on this maintenance drug long enough now that it's no longer, like the guy that was here yesterday, he's been on it 8 years. He could have been off it 2 months after he got put on it. He's not going to relapse when he comes off this shit. Because it turned into harm production for him 7.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So what is that? You have to, like the guy said to me yesterday too, is they plug in these they do a questionnaire and the person answers and they come up with a score, and based on that score they can decide the protocol that they're going to do, because it's an in-depth question. Like, she's asking a question that it's hard to draw a line right through the middle of the screen, say there's the answer, because
that's a pretty open question.
But I understand. Okay, so let's go to this. Hey, it's possible.
Yeah.
You have to be extremely attentive and aware, and because you're going to be opening up someone's raw vulnerability to the same problems that they had before, but they're going to be more susceptible because the drug's being stripped out and the mind wants them. It's like Steve getting anxious to talk to me times 100.
Yeah.
Right? It's just facing the world and the truth. So some people, they can bully right through that shit. They don't care. Some people, as soon as you take them off a little bit, then they're more at risk of going out and using fentanyl. And that's why the government is saying, just let's keep everybody on that, because we can't deal with,
So, I mean, it's possible, but do your research is really the answer. I mean, make sure you're going to do it in a way that
Cindy, I don't mean to
works.
interrupt you. Yeah, but doing the research is dangerous too, because you don't really know, there's a lot of, you're going to get weird things. So, I mean, contact me or something, and then I'll help work through it.
There you go. Yeah, and we'll make sure that we share Mark's information afterwards.
Just write to me right now, because I'm on the case of figuring out sort of, but there's a lot of people you can talk to that know, and I could even say right now, call this second, this. I don't want to put another one. So another says, I suffer from CPTSD. Do you want to read this?
Yeah, no, it's okay. It was just like this was actually the same person. They suffer from CPTSD, and they have done ayahuasca in Peru, as well as mushrooms for depression. And although it's helped, they're curious if iboga would be a good idea. Thanks.
Okay, since it's a cannabis show, let's go to weed. So,
this is a psychedelic show.
Oh, good, but I just saw a lot of cannabis advertisements during the commercial.
Yeah, we're owned by a cannabis network, so.
Because I'm owned in, okay, so we're on a cannabis network. Sorry, I see, but you're a psychedelic show. Good to know.
Yeah.
When you have a plant, okay, I'm a long-time grower as well. So, and we're going towards micro-cultivation right now. We have a business called Sacred Flower. I stopped smoking 16 months ago because it made it really clear for me to transition in and out of the iboga when working with people. And I found maybe smoking at sessions. Now I will say in Africa, there is shamans that smoke the weed and they love it, but there's all other ones that say, no, it's very dangerous because of the mind while doing iboga, but they're positive and pro for the eating of it because its effects it has when it's ingested. Side note. So let's follow this here, how I want to explain this. where does the medicine come from on ayahuasca? It comes from, you know, the leaves and the branches, above ground stuff. And then, you know, where does iboga come from? It comes from the roots. So with complex post-traumatic stress disorder and things like that, you know, I guess if you fix the system on the outside, and then but the core is still resonating, it's going to still affect the system. You need it all to happen. You need it all to be in unison. So I know what I can answer this woman is that iboga is a very powerful medicine for getting to the core. And so if you have plants, like, you know, if you have trauma or depression or things like these and you go to ayahuasca, I've done ayahuasca and I've heard lots of stories and it's an amazing thing, but I find a lot of people still searching afterwards. And when they come to iboga, the search is over. They're like, you know, why am I looking for something when I'm already found it? So what I can explain now in a little bit of an easy way is that if you're going to get an ayahuasca or a flower, but the roots haven't been fixed, like you don't got roots. Like, if you know of growing right now, growing cannabis, it's roots. It doesn't matter what you do, man. You can even have really good root system, chop the top of the plant off and the thing will grow back dynamite. If you chop half the roots out, no. So iboga really helps. You know, what is the roots of you? What is your roots? You know, Fungalicious Steve, what's your root system?
I have a feeling that that's part of where I'm floundering, because the above I'm working on, I'm pulling into place, but there's if the roots aren't anchored properly, if you don't have a strong foundation, everything else is going to fall.
So what is that though? What is it?
What's that?
What are you floundering with?
I guess the basics of self-love.
Okay, so self-love. Who are you loving? Who's the self?
Oh, interesting question. Yes, because it's the the part that I'm not loving is deeper than the part that's above right here in the camera.
They're both together. Just you're mixing it up like anticipation and anxiety again. Just kidding. So what's the name of my business? Iboga
Soul.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, so you want to be connected to the roots. You want to be connected to the earth. You want to be connected to the plant. You want to be connected. You want to be connected to your soul. The connection protection. That's what we came up with too, right? Once you get that connection, you got to protect it. We had a last session where it was like, what scissors, so disconnection scissors, okay? What's keeping you disconnected? What kind of scissors is cutting you away? What are some things? What kind of scissors? What would you call a pair of scissors that's keeping you disconnected?
Honestly, I don't know.
Well, you said one already, so I know you know one. So I already recorded it in my mind. You got one already. Let's call it self-love.
I just got to point this one out. It's our show, but I'm being told now that Mark is very interesting. He's doing a very good job at interviewing us.
Well, that's just
I mean, like this. I mean, what the conversation we're having gives a really great insight into thought process behind the medicine. It's not just deciding, hey, I'm going to go do iboga. It's like, okay, well, we have to have a long conversation and talk about the nitty gritty before you like run off and do iboga. You have to make sure it's the right medicine for you, because it is, it's a really powerful medicine that, like, I mean, the first time I went through, I mean, like, I did a lot of work with the medicine, but iboga was very gentle with me. And I was expecting that the second time, and it's not what I got. I mean, he's like, okay, well, now it's time for the real work, Cindy. And the medicine took me through it that time. And I really did real work the second time. It was very hard work. It was probably the hardest work I've ever done in my whole life.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I think, imagine not having done that work though.
Yeah.
That's harder.
Yeah.
So Yeah, back to the, the soul, what we're talking about is like, so every time you have trouble with self-love, Steve, that's keeping you disconnected. And so I think Iboga really helps you understand about self-love and staying connected. And I think that's what I'm saying with my answer here is to the woman with ayahuasca. Iboga is an amazing medicine, and it'll help you, understand your roots, your ancestors, your connection, your soul. And then think about it. Once you water your soul, like, what happens going to do ayahuasca after when your roots are fixed?
Well, when I first reached out to you, I found you because I reached out to a gentleman that ran an ayahuasca place, a retreat in Costa Rica. And then, and I shared the stories of my daughters and myself with him. And I said, look, this is going to cost a lot of money. I need to know, do you think that you can actually help this situation? So he went through the stuff and read a few of the stories and the news articles. And then he came back and said, no. He said, ayahuasca teaches you what your purpose in life is. And Iboga teaches you who you are and how you need to love.
Yeah. It can help you with your purpose too, though. But I know what you mean. Once you know who you are, then you know what you want. How are you supposed to know what you want if you don't know who you are? But I get it. So I think definitely, like, for me, I would say Iboga. I'm pro Iboga, but I always have to like dodge around with these interesting, like, because people need to see things for themselves. I've seen probably 1,000 now people. It's beyond when they're on the medicine and you're going there. What comes up every time? It's love, and it's the same things, and it's this messages from our divine soul and our connection to our ancestors and all these people that we're surrounded in. Right? Blow this body up, rewire it, get the thoughts more get control on them. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not going there. No, I'm not going here. That's not benefiting me. That's not going to benefit me. Your soul is listening to you at all times, and it sees everything you do. And so you need to show the most profound love and understanding between that guiding light and yourself and you. And you need to hardwire that into your reality and being,
Well, that is, I think both Cindy's and my focus is to make that happen. That is our journey in here, and that is what we're seeking.
You're doing it right now, because everything we even talk about, and by you having this show on, like, a lot of these medicines, really, if you understand, it's a lot about speaking and understanding. They highlight us, they highlight it all, but it's still up to us. Like, it's not like we're going to be on Iboga the entire time for the rest of our lives, and everyone around us is not on Iboga the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's taking, it's getting the physical healing from these medicines. Okay. One thing that is beyond extraordinary that we receive from the medicine is this supernatural ability to, like, heal the body physically. And the other supernatural is it's not so supernatural. It's supernatural because it's supernatural to us. It's super normal, but it's you're not going to say super normal. If you can make supernatural super normal, like, how much like supernatural can you take? Sometimes you need a break. Okay. I don't know if I can hit, I think there's in Africa, they actually can see spirits, and actually converse.
Yeah.
Like, wow. That happens with people too. Like, how you ever want to look at that, and so how much can you handle? How much do you want to handle? But I think what you can handle and what you should start handling is, like, being able to look in the mirror and say, I love you, and mean it.
Well, I started doing that. I actually am. I realized I needed to do that. I tend to avoid mirrors, so now I've got one, and I'm making a point of walking by and going, hey, man, I love you.
You mean it, though. I said mean it too, right?
I do mean it when I'm saying it.
Well, then you're on your way. You have no, and a lot of times the fear that you're having, I'll blitz that off in the first 5 minutes. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and then it's gone. And like,
I
think
actually didn't even know I had a fear. Cindy and I were talking about you coming on the show, and I had a moment, and we worked through the moment, and I realized, oh, there's something sitting in me that is scared of doing this, which I'm not scared of doing journeys. So it's a weird thing in my brain that I'm going, what is it that's there that's making me avoid?
But is it discernment or is it fear?
I don't know.
Well, you got to know. So, I mean, and that's what the medicine's for, because you should have discernment. I mean, you're going to do like, I mean, you're not just to be like, yeah, throw it on me, let's go. Like, you're about to explode into yourself, and life is intense on its own. Like, we're all talking here, like, iboga's the intense thing, but like, life is intense. Like, we're all gonna die. We're all gonna we're not gonna see anybody that we love and grew up with. Chance of getting sick, healthy, this, that, stress is money, survival. Like, like.
No, the chaos is always there. That's what I was saying to Cindy. It's just about finding your calm in the chaos. The chaos is always around you.
Is it chaos though? It's just reality.
Yes.
So, but yeah, once you find that center, and you guys got to learn how to stay on there. So then, is there things that throw you off? That's why I bring cannabis. For some people, cannabis will continually throw them off.
Yeah.
And especially any pharmaceuticals and all these other things. And then, and then there's all these doctors misdiagnosed, and then you have girls that gets wrapped up in here. Before you know it, now it's your PTSD's gone complex, and now then they're terminalizing that, all the windows we have to explain people's problems. And like the one time, like, how much time do we really have left on the planet, right? And you want to do the best you can. And are you going to switch bodies at this point? And F the body, it's what's inside that counts. That's why cheating, it seems absurd to me now. Like, I love my wife, and it's perfect, but I thought about, like, cheating. It's like, for whatever reason you would ever do it, like, the same person is not inside that other person. It'd be such a tragedy, because so it's the same with the soul. Like, I had one vision where how can I trust myself 110%, and the medicine was kicking in, and my soul jumped out like this, kind of a face, and who else are you going to depend on, or who else are you going to rely on? And it just hit me like a big kind of truth grip. Who else am I going to rely on if I can't trust myself? How can I love somebody else if I don't love myself?
That's right.
So once you understand that, you're just going to bust right through these walls. You can come over tomorrow if you want. I'll just do a random bomb on you here in the front room. The kids aren't home.
There you go.
Wow.
But we'll figure it out. You're right on track, and you're totally fine. I mean, and you're going to, now the other thing is you're enlightening other people because you're spreading this awareness around, right? This is the truth. This works. That's it. There's no, like, I could come on here. I got to watch how I just be so pro boga, right? Like, the evangelistic sort of point of view, but like, we'll blow people's minds. Like, what do you think? In Dosed, all that Dosed was a real story.
Yes.
Yeah. It was an incredibly real story. I had the when I was up for my second retreat with Gareth, Blair and I went out one day, and we just happened to run into Adrienne.
Wow.
For me, that's really powerful. I know when I finally get to meet you in person, it's going to be that same power, because you were the first person that reached back and said, Cindy, go here and do this, and we've got you. And so, yeah, when I met her, it was a pretty powerful moment.
And you know what it is? It's the truth inside it.
Yeah.
It's the truth in the words in there. It's the truth in the medicine. And that's what it is. That's what we're all healing here. And the truth is here for us all.
Yeah.
And then to bring in yourself to match the truth. That's the key. If you don't value yourself enough to give yourself the truth, you got to value yourself. Like, Fungalicious Steve valued his daughters more than he valued himself.
Yeah.
But but you can't give value to them without buying yourself. He's done an amazing job, though. There's nothing wrong with it, you know.
Wow.
So, but now you know what you got to do. You're a man on a mission. That mission is you, right?
Yes, I am a man on a mission.
Right, and then once you achieve that mission, you're a man in life.
You're
You know,
freaking awesome, my friend.
sometimes.
A lot of the times, I think.
Anybody that inspires healing the way you do is an awesome, awesome soul.
It is, and it's, you know what, but it's had difficult times. You know, like it's I've lost 12 people that I've worked with the medicine. You know, I just recently lost a very close friend of mine.
Yeah, that one. Are you talking Patty?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. I think that one hit all of us.
Yeah. I mean, I've been talking to him for the past 5 minutes because he was really sober, right? And he had overcame so much, and then I was talking to him like 2 days. We had a half-hour FaceTime. He said, "I love you." The last time I talked to him, and I was like, because I was with somebody, I said, "Do you say I love you?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I kind of knew that, you know, and it's hard for me to talk right now about this just because I don't want to get into too much about what happened.
No, we don't need to.
No.
But what I can say, what I can say is I know probably more than anybody, and like he didn't take his own life. You know what I mean? And for me, knowing how this all went, and also the spiritual context, like this is inevitably is in God's hands, and we are people who are here to help facilitate. We're not, you know, we are like many junior gods here in His Creator and His image, but the same sense, there's a great humble humility that needs to come into this, and it's why important as people who spread this message or do this work do their best, because when you're pushed to these circumstances, you know, where you get things just like this happen. Like I have a woman who lost both her sons last year. I worked with. I lost my nephew 2 years ago, right before he had a child, who lived here, that I brought here from Ontario. I have another one that just happened. This one's even his mother used to use a long time ago, and he got kind of into it. She got clean. She brought him to help to get help from me. Now he just found her overdose 2 months ago. Mom. There's an incredible
Well, I
amount
hope
of
you're taking time for your own self-love then, because that's a lot.
Well, this is what I'm saying though. Like I have it.
And...
I have it, or else I'd be fucking destroyed already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I know in confidence, you know, these are hard things to deal with, but I know in confidence, you know, that's why it's important for me to do the medicine, and I work with people, and I have to stay true in integrity myself in my life all the time. And I'm always learning too, you know, because that's where you will falter. You can forgive, and there's mistakes, and you learn, and life is neat, but you have to be connected to that guiding light within you. You have to be connected to the soul. If you don't, you're going to like inevitably, you know, have to pay some sort of price that, you know, it's going to cause misery in your life, and in turn misery in others' lives. So it's all about choices. And, you know, I chose this path, and, you know, I need to learn more, and I need to be better at it. And I need to go connection with Africa. But what needs to happen is there needs to be more of a system that's in place to help people. It's hard for
people that are struggling.
Yeah, it's a difficult system with such a heavy offense of badness with like fentanyl, meth, and benzos. We need more than just harm reduction and harm production. We need, you know, these ibogaine proper protocols should be in every country. They, you know, whether or not they have strategies to legalize drugs to, you know, help clean up that situation. And then, you know, whereas we have proper programs into place to provide not only aftercare. I have a new thing called Instegration, where, you know, you teach them so well in these courses or in these sessions with iboga that, you know, less integration is necessary later. You don't want to create more problems in the therapy so that you got to do more integration, or you know. So I try highlighting on this Instegration, so you get someone really clean so that when they come to what I do, you do such a profound good job. You don't need to do like, you know, if it takes 100 to figure out one, fine. But if it takes one to figure out 100, fine. But you just need to figure out one to take off one. And that's love yourself. The best way to be yourself is to love yourself and your soul. Connecting with your ancestors, connecting with the spirit of the world, connecting with life, using your soul as to manifest, to go out into the world and bring back it is what you want, and to be ready there to accept and understand it and to be able to utilize and apply that into your life. It's this system that we're in. Your system gets thrown out of whack, gets complex this, complex that, buy this, buy that, divisive this, schizo this, that, you know what I mean? Come on. Bomb yourself with love. You know what I mean? Go after the proper ways. We need to get this into our society. There's some tenacious, vicious guys out there ready to rip this place up and get this in, you know, because you got to go through all this. Like I said, the world's a bit crazy on its own. So there's always a way. Even if the way is, you know, even if someone has to go out a little earlier, defined by God's ways, it's still a way, and you want to be in a better position to go that way. I know that I helped each and every one of those individuals get to a more clear path with their own souls. You got to watch this world. You can't make any mistakes anymore because fentanyl will kill.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I just want to say that Pat passed peacefully beside his dad.
Good.
You know what I mean? It definitely wasn't, you know, whether it was natural causes or an overdose is yet to be determined, and it doesn't matter.
He made a huge impact on this world. You know, there's a page that was dedicated to him. I've been reading a lot of the stories and a lot of the love that people had for him. He was a very beautiful soul.
Yeah, he was amazing. He was going to come in January on this last session that just happened. Yeah, we were close. We were there, you know, all of it. And it's a really, these are hard things to, you know, when I found out and stuff, you know, I went to his funeral and he was buried right beside the other war hero, Sorello, in the play the special up. There's only two of them because he was awarded a Medal of Bravery. And gentlemen's lives he saved in the war were there. Talked with them. His family was there. He went out peacefully, you know what I mean? And there was not a lot of there was other times in his life when it was not peaceful. And so, you know, and he also went out like a hero in the end because of this tremendous thing. It's just he needed more help, you know. And we need to get that. We need to get some of these systems in place to help people like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess that's back to the woman too about the daughter or about Suboxone and stuff. Like, don't treat it as an iboga emergency. Start treating it as an iboga reality, and start taking the proper steps in place to get. You know, when's the best time? Start now. You know, start right now. Start looking it up. Start getting her in contact with even. It's amazing even talking with someone like me can do for someone like. You know, buying time, getting them on the right track, making a little choice that's going to make a difference. You know, nutritional, sleep, proper doctor protocols, getting a proper doctor that's going to actually help you get off it, and then, you know, doing it in a way where don't just jump off the cliff all at once. Like, you know, that's an emergency. Do it as a reality. Like, you know, let's figure it out. You know, let's get them reconnected with their inner.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, their inner soul. Yeah.
Their internet, their Wi-Fi, their YouTube. Like, let's reconnect with their inner soul. Let's, you know, you don't want any misconstrued. You want to be, yes, like, this is what I'm going to say to Steve. This is why this interview went more into like what the other lady was saying, is because intuitively I really want to like dissect and help. It's almost like my thing I go to now, right? And back to my own self-love, I check in all the time, Steve. I got 3 beautiful kids, 3 boys. I have a new boy. My wife's, I'm so blessed. Like, I'm very, you know.
She's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, she is. You guys should interview her one day.
Love to.
And so, and yeah, you know, you got to check in. You got to be able to have that clarity, right? You got to be able to recover from falls quick. Yeah. You know, you got to, you know, if you're in a fucking hole, stop digging. You know, and these are some of the things.
You know, I'm walking that path and working that path. And and slowly making myself more proud of myself as well.
Yeah, well, imagine you did
know,
for you what you do for your daughters.
What's that?
Imagine you do for you like you do for your daughters.
I can't actually imagine that. That's an interesting thing. Oh my
It's the
God.
truth.
Well, you are starting to, though. One of the things that Steve is doing for himself is, I mean, he's coming down and meeting me, and we're going for Cambo. He
Yeah.
is, yeah.
He
So, I
is,
mean, like,
yes.
he is doing for himself too, quite a bit.
And again, back to the beginning point, once you realize that by doing for you, you're going to be able to give more to them. And the other thing is that you become a shining light that you don't even have to say anything, just by your example teaches.
Well, that's kind of what I fell into that thing of. I was pushing for so long. I was trying to push them to recovery, and then I got my own diagnosis on things, and I went, hey, this is my opportunity to lead and stop pushing. So
Right, and then
I said I'm going to walk it.
You're doing it. So you're like in a great path. You know, I'm glad you're going to do Cambo with Cindy. That's amazing. And Cindy, how are you doing these days? What's your how's everything going?
I'm doing well. I went for the second Cambo. I had, thoughts of addiction and suicide creep back up. So I went for a second iboga, I should say, retreat with Gareth in October. And that was, like I said, it was a lot of work and it was fantastic. And, I am just trying to continue my healing, because the more I heal, the more I see where I need to heal.
Where do you need to heal?
It's still my past self. I am still fighting with trust issues because of what I went through as a child, and I'm still trying to heal that child that has those particular fears, I guess. The first time I went, I worked on love for myself. The second time I went, I worked on forgiveness for myself. And I did very well achieving both of those. And, so go ahead.
How much are you comfortable with talking about on the screen?
What's that?
How much are you comfortable with talking about on the screen?
I'm pretty comfortable. There's not very much I haven't said on screen.
So what's the one problem you're really having difficulty with when you were young? What trauma?
I was molested at the age of 6 and raped at the age of 9. And
okay, so was it by a family member?
Yes.
Okay, so did you was it the same one both times?
Yes.
So did you reach out to somebody to tell them it was happening?
Not for 43 years.
Okay, and so did you ever confront the person that did it?
Yes.
And what happened there?
They turned the tables on me, and I guess it was a long time before I spoke up to anybody else. They turned the tables on me and victimized me.
Hold on 1 minute. They turned the tables on you?
Yeah, they put blame on me somehow, and I honestly have got it pretty much blocked out. I can't tell you how.
No, so hold on. I don't mean it. I gotta go slow here. So when you confronted, so it was they who did it, or one that did it?
It was the person that
right now. So why is there a they though? Is the wife or something coming in to protect the husband?
Yes.
And is that your mom?
No.
So, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, it was a male family member, and then his wife jumped in to protect him.
Exactly.
And,
of course.
They made me, because of course I wasn't speaking out beyond them. They turned me somehow into the evil one. And,
well, did he deny it?
Oh, very muchly so. And people turned on me.
Of course, I know that's that. Yes.
So
because
eventually,
the ramifications.
It was 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, that I finally came out and spoke my truth to my father.
And what did he do?
Well, he went through his own dealings with it, but he is being very supportive of me. Oh, very muchly so. Yes.
Okay, so fuck the rest of it. That's the best thing out of this whole thing right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that needs to be gone in big time, in my opinion. right?
Yeah, no, I mean I really need to work on that. There's been stuff since, but that is the foundation of what happened to me, is what happened to me
Well,
before I
yeah,
was done
because
with it.
those imprints are they create patterns that become like, just reactive instead of, you don't even recognize them and stuff. But that's
Yeah.
easy. I'm telling you, all that takes is a bunch of love and understanding and release and forgiveness and, a bunch of like over it. So once you love yourself enough beyond that, see, that's why people put you in a place to keep you low, because then you can't get over it and they
Yeah.
win. But like, who's going to be
But
facing
then
that?
and then one day I saw the movie Dosed, and I said, no, fuck them, I'm gonna win. And now look at me.
Exactly. So I mean, this is what one of the sessions that we will do that really, gets into that, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
It,
well,
it really,
unfortunately, I've got to break back in here because we are getting close to the end of the time, and I want you to take a couple of minutes and tell people how they can reach out to you and find you when they're ready to talk about iboga.
okay. So basically, but first, what I want to just say is that, it's a lot of bravery, Cindy, to talk about what you just talked about. And it's one of the most common things, to be honest. It's unbelievable how much damage has been created in our society, okay, because of that. And it's all good. You're good. You're going to be good from that. So
I am.
right now we're in Mexico, in Cabo, right outside of Cabo by Todos Santos.
Mm-hmm.
We're on this beautiful like retreat center that is right on the ocean, and we've seen like hundreds of whales. It's right on. It's very secluded with the mountains. We're doing about maybe one session a month right now. We're going to do a double header coming up. We just filled up from February 25th to March 4th, but we have another one from March 6th to the 13th. Then it's March break, and then so they can find us at ibogasoul.com. Our new website's just about finished. It's going to get launched next week. And they can always write to me at mark@ibogasoul or info@ibogasoul. And yeah, the retreats are pretty, 2 full ceremonies and lots of talking like we did and lots of healing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
And you guys are amazing for speaking and spreading this all around. Like one day it's going to pop. You know what I mean?
I hope so. I want
the more
my goal is to have
the more.
Yeah, is to have this medicine available to everybody that needs it, and have it available at a cost that will work for people, or have it covered somehow. Because I meet people all along my life that would benefit from this medicine and other medicine, and it's just too expensive.
Yeah, there's a couple of reasons for that, because you have it in a, it's the risks and the accommodation for people and the whole thing, but we'll get there.
We will.
Yep.
We will.
Slow and steady.
Yeah, and it'll happen, I'm sure. But we are near the end of our show, so I have to say thank you so much to Mark for joining us. Thank you for the conversation.
Yes, thank
you
Mark.
for interviewing us. I guess it's been an absolute joy to speak with you once again. So that is our mushy moment for today.
But we should let Mark know that when we go off air here, he should stay in the room for a minute. We'll just chat.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just want to quickly just say too, I didn't mean to be like the interviewer, or hopefully hog up too much at the time.
No, it was fantastic.
Hey, the universe makes things happen the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, it gives people what I was thinking when it was happening is it gives people an insight to what they will, what comes at them, the questions that, how you deal with things and why you ask questions. And I think that that's phenomenal. We also talked a little bit about what people have, what it takes to prepare. We had a great conversation. I can't wait to have you back on again for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that was our mushy moment for today, the last day of the first month of 2023. Thank you so much for joining us here at paceradio.net, cbgtv.com, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Boxnet, Boxcast.
Boxcast
on the Roku and and the different streaming places. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you again next week. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Steve.
Mark, very much. Thank you to my hostess with the mostest.
Oh, I went the wrong way this time.
And thank
Have a great
Mark.
week, folks.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you next week.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
When you have a pain that's reached its peak, Legacy for 20, it's so unique. If organic cannabis is what you seek, here's your trusted partner 7 days a week. Suppository salves, vapes and drops, topicals, edibles, infused pop. Just when life seems like it ain't easy, at Legacy 420, enjoy a pop freezy. Lab tested products, make them the GOAT. Legacy 420 out on your road. Legacy 420 in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. Indigenous organic cannabis at its finest.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at Pace Radio.